The art of the holiday overlay. The process of taking an existing attraction and spicing things up for a certain portion of the year, usually related to a holiday, whether it be Christmas or Halloween or some sort of event. Theme parks across the globe participate in this tradition every year, with Disney and their parks sort of being the experts at this. They are the ringleaders when it comes to delivering holiday overlays. They do it at each of their parks across a number of different attractions. Whereas, well, their number one competitor, Universal Studios, seems to have no interest in delivering holiday overlays. In fact, there's not a single ride that they transform for any event or any season or any holiday throughout the year. Every single ride remains the exact same experience throughout the year. And I mean, listen, there's something admirable to be said about that. Whether you visit in February, July, or November, you're going to be able to experience the rides as they were intended to be experienced by Universal when they first designed and made them. Whereas with Disney, if you only visit in, say, December, then you're only going to be able to experience the rides with those holiday overlays. So yeah, I mean, there definitely is some drawbacks to doing a holiday overlay, especially for people who can only come at the same time every year. However, on the flip side of that, having holiday overlays obviously incentivizes people to come at different times of the year because they want to experience those holiday overlays, or if they typically only go when the holiday overlays are happening and they don't get to experience the ride in its sort of base condition, then they might want to go a different time of the year when the ride isn't having that overlay, you know? So it definitely incentivizes people to come more often and to come at different times of the year where maybe attendance isn't as high and you have some sort of event or holiday overlays going on that help alleviate the seasonality of the business. So, needless to say, Universal would greatly benefit from some holiday overlays. It would add some new experiences to the bunch for Universal, and it would give people more reason to come at different times of year. The question is, what sort of overlays could Universal even be capable of delivering? Of course, a lot of these screen-based rides couldn't really deliver a solid holiday overlay because it would require Universal to basically completely edit or redesign or just completely recreate from the ground up a new video for the ride that would incorporate some sort of holiday aspect. And not only in many cases would that not be feasible, but it probably wouldn't even be worth it in many cases where you could actually go ahead and make a new video package for the ride. But if we take a look over at Disney and what they've done in the past, right, a holiday overlay doesn't necessarily have to be a completely new attraction. Sure, in the case of Haunted Mansion Holiday over at Disneyland, where they take the Haunted Mansion and they turn it into the Nightmare Before Christmas, that is effectively creating an entirely new ride out of an existing attraction, right? I mean, that is next level stuff when it comes to holiday overlays, but a holiday overlay could also be as simple as adding a lighting package or music to a ride. Think about Space Mountain. Think about It's a Small World over in Disneyland. That goes a step further and actually has decorations, or maybe even Living with the Land. No music on that one, but again, adds decorations to the ride. Think about Jingle Cruise. That's a case where you add new Christmas jokes to the script for the ride, and you of course add a few decorations here and there, and you dress up some of the animatronics. Though, let's be honest, in a lot of these scenes, Jingle Cruise kind of comes up a bit short as a holiday overlay, but they had tried. Regardless of that, the bottom line is this. There is not one right or wrong way to do a holiday overlay, right? There are several different avenues you can take, some that go all the way in creating a brand new attraction, and some that go not very far at all and just simply add some decorations or music to the attraction, right? That's all it takes to create something different. So without further ado, here's my list of some attractions at Universal Orlando that I think could greatly benefit from some holiday overlays. The first of which being sort of that route of the Haunted Mansion Holiday, creating a completely new attraction out of an existing ride. And I'm taking Cat in the Hat and I'm turning it into a How the Grinch Stole Christmas attraction. Though the Grinch really only makes his presence known in Seuss Landing in the latter part of the year during the holiday season, he remains to be the most popular figure in the land pretty much year-round. We obviously know that his meet and greet is typically the highest wait time in the entire park during this time of year. That wait time can easily exceed several hours during the day, and especially during peak season. He is by far the most popular part, maybe not even of just Seuss Landing, but maybe even of Islands of Adventure during those last few months of the year. And you want to know what ride is not particularly popular? It's the Cat in the Hat, and not just during the holiday season, but just throughout the year in general. It tends to be one of the least trafficked attractions in all of Islands of Adventure. And I mean, it's for good reason. The ride is a lesser version of its former self. It's far away from its glory days, and it desperately needs a refurbishment. But either way, regardless if you decide to refurbish the attraction or not, I do think that there's a great opportunity to turn this attraction from something that, maybe at best has a 10 to 20 minute wait into something that would command a 30 to 60 minute long wait if you did go ahead and overturn it into a Grinch attraction. Now, the storyline would be very simple. Just do what you do for Cat in the Hat and just retell the story of the Grinch. I don't think it'd be too terribly difficult given the fact that there are a lot of sparse open spaces within the Cat in the Hat ride to go ahead and put in new animatronics, new skins, new sets, just add some Christmas trees, some snow, throw it all around. And I think you could easily create, even if it is a somewhat low level attraction, you could easily go ahead and add in this holiday overlay for the Grinch, and it would bring a whole new level of popularity to this attraction during the holiday season that this ride normally would not receive. And I guarantee you that when you have to close this ride for a month or so in October to make the change, and when you have to close it again in January to turn it back over to Cat in the Hat, dude, I guarantee you nobody will miss Cat in the Hat for that short period of time that it is closed and you're making this turnover, okay? So I think this is a slam dunk one, and you should have did it yesterday, quite frankly. And for the next one, sticking to sort of the massive overhaul to the point where you basically create a brand new attraction, I'm jumping to a different holiday for this one, and we're going to Halloween, and we're taking the Simpsons ride, and we're turning it into a Treehouse of Horror attraction. This is not an original idea, as you might have guessed. This is something that's been swirling around pretty much ever since The Simpsons first came to Universal Orlando. People have been begging Universal to add in a holiday overlay that takes The Simpsons ride and adds a Halloween twist onto it, as of course The Simpsons are well connected to Halloween with the Treehouse of Horror series that they put out an episode for every year. Now, of course, the problem with this is twofold. As I mentioned earlier, it is a screen ride, so in order to create a Treehouse of Horror version of this, you would have to make a completely new film to play over the attraction, not to mention that you have to reprogram the ride vehicles to move in line with that new film. So it would be basically like making a brand new attraction from the ground up, more or less. The other problem is that, of course, The Simpsons is highly likely to be leaving Universal Orlando in the near future, so obviously it's a little too late to do this, but I don't think there's any doubt about it that if The Simpsons was staying, or if Universal had decided to do this earlier in the attraction's lifespan, that this could have been a great addition, not only for the Halloween season, but namely for Halloween Horror Nights. I think it would have been a genius idea to create this holiday overlay for The Simpsons that's focused around Treehouse of Horror and exclusively play it during Halloween Horror Nights. Not only would that, of course, draw more people out to the event, but the big plus with it would be the fact that it would actually command a pretty sizable wait time. It would command a pretty sizable amount of guests that want to experience the attraction, given the fact that you can only experience this attraction during Halloween Horror Nights. And that's a big deal because what has been the main problem with Halloween Horror Nights over the last few years? It's been capacity. It's been wait times. It's been lines. The wait times are ridiculous at Halloween Horror Nights. And one way to get rid of those wait times, or at least to alleviate them, would be to go ahead and send guests somewhere else. And if you go ahead and have this overlay on this attraction, it would actually bring people out to go and ride it, which is not necessarily the case right now, right? Universal does have some rides open during Halloween Horror Nights, but next to nobody ever goes rides them because they're all there for the houses. But if you had a ride that was basically only there for Halloween Horror Nights, it would command traffic that would help lower lines everywhere else. So in my opinion, genius idea, but probably too late to do it. Another idea that I kind of like for Halloween, actually, I'm putting over in Islands of Adventure, and that's an holiday overlay for Jurassic Park River Adventure. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, okay, you're going like the Jingle Cruise route where you just add a few decorations and costumes on top of these animatronics and you call it a day. No, I'm not going that route, and I don't think that really works really well for River Adventure anyways, and it doesn't make sense with the storyline, so no, forget that. We're not doing that. What we are doing is a nighttime blackout River Adventure ride. Here's what I'm envisioning. I'm thinking that we turn all the lights off on River Adventure once it hits dusk, right? Once the sun goes down, all the lights on the ride go off, except for, the ones that are absolutely necessary. And then we go ahead and we add lights to all the animatronics that are basically like strobe lights that activate only when the vehicle gets close to them, right? Think about the lights that activate on the Raptors in the lift hill portion of this attraction, right? Basically add those lights to every single dinosaur animatronic on this ride. We're also going to take out the narration. We're not going to hear any narration. We're just going to have the sound effects. It's going to be pitch black. It's going to be more or less dead quiet, with the exception of when these dinosaurs come blasting out of us, and basically turning all of these moments in the ride, that some of which are supposed to be just sort of, good fun, right? Or, just sort of like awe-inspiring moments, into actual jump scares, and turning this ride into an actual horror attraction. I think that would be a slam dunk idea. The only problem is, of course, that Islands Adventure doesn't typically stay open late enough to really be able to execute on this idea during the Halloween season, especially with Halloween Horror Nights going on across the street. But if they were, willing and able to stay open later, I think this would be a great way to get people who are coming to the park for Halloween Horror Nights to go ahead and add in a day at Islands Adventure during their trip, during their visit, to make sure they go ahead and experience this Halloween-related overlay. Now, that being said, speaking of Jingle Cruise, going that sort of route where we're just sort of more or less decorating the attraction with some holiday-related garment, I actually think that we're going to go to a holiday that's a bit more obscure, not one that you don't typically see theme parks really celebrate, and that's Valentine's Day. And I'm thinking that for Valentine's Day, so maybe late January through mid-March, I'm thinking that we go ahead and we decorate the Toon Lagoon attractions with some Valentine's Day related stuff. I mean, both rides have pertaining to romance, right? Deli Do Right chasing after his girl and trying to save her, and of course Popeye doing the same thing with Olive Oil, right? I mean, both rides have to do with romance, so I think it makes perfect sense to overhaul these attractions to make them giddied up for Valentine's Day. And I think it makes perfect sense too to use it as an opportunity to add more jokes to the attraction. I mean, of course, you have those candy hearts that say "Be Mine" and stuff like that on them. Why not put jokes on those and splatter them all throughout the ride? I mean, of course, there already are so many small gags and jokes that are written on signs and stuff like that across both of these attractions. Why not add some more while also adding just some Valentine's Day decorations? I mean, we already know that that time of year is not necessarily a time where a lot of guests are riding these water rides. That could be a good way to get them to suck it up and be like, hey, it's a little cold out, but I'm going to go ahead and ride these rides anyways because they're decorated for the holiday, right? That's just another way to kind of help better disperse crowds. So I think it could be a good way to sort of spice up those attractions, especially in a time of year when they're typically not being ridden. The only problem is that, of course, as a result of that, this is also usually the time of year when those rides go down for refurbishment. So they have to kind of work around the refurbishment schedule to make this work. But again, I think it's a pretty good idea. Now, I will admit that pretty much all of the holiday overlays I've suggested so far are a bit involved, right? They're a bit detailed. They require a bit of extensive effort. And I think that, Universal right now not doing any holiday overlays, it might be unreasonable to expect them to go ahead and deliver on any of these, right? At least right off the bat. So maybe it's better to suggest some ways they kind of sort of ease into doing holiday overlays without, too much commitment on their part. And I think one way to do this would just be simply by adding some Christmas songs to Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. Again, this is another attraction that likely will be seeing the door in a short few years, so maybe the time is not now, but this could have been an easy way to go ahead and implement some holiday spirit to one of your attractions, right? I mean, I think you just simply add an extra tab on that drop-down list for Christmas songs, give them like 5 options, and bada boom, bada bing, you've created a Christmas version of this attraction. And the great thing about it too would be that unlike the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind overlay where they added Christmas songs for that attraction during the holiday season that wasn't really well received, and they ultimately got rid of it because those songs sucked. The great thing about this would be that, hey, if for whatever reason the person riding Rip Ride Rocket didn't like the Christmas songs available or didn't want to listen to Christmas songs, they don't have to. They can still choose any other song from the standard list or from the secret song list, but they still at least have the option to get into the holiday spirit if they so choose. And I don't think this would be too unviable for Universal either, because they already play all this Christmas music in Universal Studios Florida anyways. All you have to do is just make some modifications to those contracts that they're using to play that music in the parks to just add on the ride. So I don't think it'd be too expensive or too difficult or too unreasonable to get those songs added. In a similar vein would be just simply adding some standard Christmas decorations to some attractions. And I think really the best choice for this would be Men in Black Alien Attack. I think, you have, you're going through New York City, right? I think it's easy enough to just go ahead and decorate the city to make it match with the holiday season. String up some lights, add some wreaths, put in some Christmas trees, and bada boom, bada bing, you're done, right? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to drastically change the experience, but just add some holiday spirit to the attraction. On a similar note, but stick with me because this one's a stretch, let's go over to Fast and Furious Supercharged. I know, this is a bizarre one, but I'm going to go ahead and say, don't decorate this for Christmas. No. I say decorate it for Thanksgiving, because of course the attraction's all about family, and what other holiday is more about family than Thanksgiving? Of course, this being a screen-based attraction, I don't imagine too much about the actual ride itself would actually change, but I think you can easily add decorations to the queue and to the pre-shows in particular. The queue, you can just go ahead and slap a giant turkey on that picnic table they have out there in the queue, right? That's easy enough. And then I think in the pre-shows, why not only add decorations, but also add lines to the actors' scripts that allow them to talk about Thanksgiving and incorporate it into their discussion. Thanksgiving is a very popular time of year at the parks, and typically the focus, of course, is always about Christmas during those times, but why not have an actual Thanksgiving attraction at one of these rides? I think that would be actually very cool and very unique, and something that people would actually greatly appreciate, especially for those visiting during Thanksgiving. But you know what? Maybe that's too difficult for Universal, right? Again, we need to ease them in. We need to dip their toe in the water because they've never done these holiday overlays before, at least here in Orlando. Perhaps there's an easier way to do this, right? Even simpler way to incorporate the holidays into an attraction. And that's just by simply dressing up a single animatronic. Of course, Disney has done this with Figment on Journey into Imagination, right? Putting him in a nice Christmas sweater. So you know what? I'm saying, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Seal Disney's homework and go ahead and slap a nice Christmas sweater on E.T. at the end of the ride. Why not? Maybe even put some earmuffs on him. Why not? While you're at it. Why not? I don't know. Just add some Christmas spirit to this attraction. I think that'd be super cute. People would love to take pictures of that. And it'd be a nice touch to add the Christmas spirit to this attraction. And another one that I'm a little bit surprised they haven't already done is let's go over to Skull Island Reign of Kong. Of course, over in Hollywood, back before their King Kong animatronic burnt to ash, they used to dress him up as Santa Kong. And it was such a great photo op, such a great moment. People loved it. Why have they not taken the giant animatronic King Kong at the end of this attraction and dressed him up for the holidays yet? The popularity of this attraction has been waning for years at this point. It's basically valleyed in popularity at this point, right? It's at an all-time low. Why not go ahead and add something fun like this to the attraction, something unique, something different, something that could be a great photo op for people on this attraction that would actually reinvigorate interest with the general public in going on this ride, even if you just did something as simple as that, left the rest of the ride the same, but just dressed up the King Kong, right? I just think that that's a slam dunk, an easy way for Universal to incorporate some holiday cheer into an attraction. But you know what, folks? So far, I've talked about a bunch of attractions, giving them a holiday overlay for one specific time of year. But there's one attraction that I think has the potential to not just be a holiday overlay for one part of the year, but perhaps could be a holiday overlay throughout several times a year, maybe even perhaps nearly the entire year could be under a holiday overlay, and I think that is VillainCon Minion Blast. You see, folks, this is Universal's ace up their sleeve. This is the secret weapon right here when it comes to holiday overlays, because the background on each of these scenes during this ride are completely customizable. They are separate from what is being shown in front of them, right? And the minions running around, all that stuff. So everything is pretty much easily customizable the way it's set up. So Universal could easily go ahead and change it to the holiday season, put some snow in the background, some Christmas trees, some lights, whatever. They can easily change that very simply. right? I mean, they can go ahead and they can make it Halloween, put some jack-o'-lanterns, put a graveyard, whatever. They can go ahead and make it for Mardi Gras, put the parade behind it, right? There are a ton of different ways to simply edit this and change it for each event or holiday season that they so choose. I also like the idea of Mardi Gras. I was trying to brainstorm something for Mardi Gras this whole time because I thought, man, that's a slam dunk to do something for Mardi Gras. But this is the only one I could think of. And you know what you can also do? You can even change the blasters, instead of shooting out lasers, to shoot out beads, right? Make them shoot out Mardi Gras beads. Maybe that's a little too complicated. Maybe it wouldn't show up well enough. But hey, it's a thought. Either way, though, if all else fails, VillainCon Minion Blast is the holiday overlay attraction for Universal, just because of simply how easily customizable the attraction is and the way it's set up. Universal could easily go ahead and turn this over into any holiday they wanted to, and I think that they simply have to at some point in the future. Of course, the ride is still relatively new, so maybe they've already planned to do this. I hope they have. But, I hope that in the future they do go ahead and they execute on this, because I really do think that it would honestly be probably the easiest one that they could overturn out of any of the ones we talked about here today. Yes, even easier than putting a sweater on E.T. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What holiday overlays would you like to see at Universal in the future? And if you want to hear me speculate more on what Universal could and should do in the future, click the video in your screen right now where I talk about what Universal could do if they made their own Krabby Patty. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.